The opening scene features an introverted man named Seth Donaldson who works at an animal control center that takes in and eventually euthanizes stray animals. Being a socially awkward person, he has no friends and lives alone in his apartment. His daily routine is limited to going to work and returning home.
Oh God, am I Seth?
One day, while returning home on a metro bus, he recognizes his former high school classmate, Holly Garling, whom he always had a crush on. He strikes up a conversation with her, but he is unable to gather enough courage to ask her out on a date. Upon arriving back home, Seth begins researching Holly on social media, specifically by memorizing her likes and dislikes.
Likes, travel, exercise, and funny people. Dislikes, Seth.
The following day at work, he seeks advice from a security guard named Nate, who tells him to be confident and approach her. Hearing this, Seth stages an encounter with Holly at the restaurant where she works as a waitress. Knowing that she likes music and concerts, he offers her a ticket to go with him. However, she feels really uncomfortable and turns him down. Later that night, Holly returns back home and tells her roommate and best friend Claire about Seth. In the midst of their conversation, she receives a drunken phone call from her ex-boyfriend named Eric. When Holly senses that he's in an inebriated state, she hangs up the call. The next day, she receives a bouquet of flowers at her workplace, which she assumes to be from Eric. As a result, she goes to the bar where he works, unbeknownst of the fact that Seth is tailing her. Holly then talks to Eric, asking him not to make any more efforts because everything is over between them. However, he still wants a chance to make things right.
I'll never drink again, babe.
A short while later, Holly walks out to light a cigarette, and this is when Seth approaches her. He tries his best to ask her out on a date, but fails. When he starts getting aggressive, Eric beats him up before throwing him off the premises. Although Seth is injured, he manages to steal Holly's diary, which she had dropped on the ground. Seth then spends the next few days reading her diary, in which she used to write her journal on a daily basis. This allows him to learn more information about her. Dear diary, Seth is an asshole.
What?
One day, at work, Seth's attention is caught by a restricted basement door in an abandoned wing of the animal shelter. Intrigued, he grabs a flashlight and heads downstairs, only to discover a trap door that leads to a secret room. This revelation strikes him with an idea, and he decides to construct a steel cage. In addition, he stealthily steals an anesthetic drug that is used to subdue the harmful pets. He firstly tests the drug on himself, rendering himself unconscious for a while. When he wakes up, he says, "Damn, that was some good shit." One evening, Seth secretly tails Holly to her residence, breaks inside, and sedates her with the anesthetic drug. He then packs her up in a large box and takes her to the secret room within his workplace. Upon arriving at the pet clinic, he is stopped by Nate, who inquires about the content in the box. Seth tries to pass him by pretending it's an emergency delivery. Just then, Holly moves inside, creating a sound. This raises Nate's suspicion, prompting him to walk near the box. At the same time, he hears another sound coming from the ceiling, which makes him believe that it is their old AC. It is a huge relief for Seth, who then takes her to the basement and locks her inside the cage. After some time, Holly regains her consciousness and freaks out to find herself there. She screams to be released, but her voice goes unheard. As a result, she is left with no choice but to stay there in the darkness for the whole night. The following day, Seth comes to visit her with some food and a bedpan. She requests to be released, but he asserts that he has captured her in order to save her, rather than harming her. Seth then departs, leaving Holly alone for the next few days. By the time he returns, she is already overwhelmed by weakness. He provides her with some more food and water before abandoning her again. While walking out of the basement, Nate catches him and questions his purpose of entering the restricted area. However, Seth manages to slip away with the help of a lie. Over the slow passage of days, Holly adjusts to her period of captivity by talking to her imaginary former roommate. She is also forced to use the toilet seat given by Seth. While urinating, a rat creeps near her feet, which startles her for a moment. As a result, she ruthlessly stomps it with her bare feet, killing it brutally. The next time when Seth visits her, she asks if he wants to assault her or kill her. In response, he says he won't touch her inappropriately, but might kill her if circumstances demand. He then sits in front of her and explains how he fell for her the moment he saw her during high school. As their conversation unfolds, Seth asks about Claire. He recounts how he overheard her talking to her best friend, despite being alone in the room. He then asks if she still sees Claire. The latter answers in the negative, even though she hallucinates her behind him. Following this, Seth takes out Holly's diary from his bag and reveals that he is aware of all her secrets. He begins to remind everything that she has mentioned in the diary, taking us all back to the past. One night, Holly discovered about her boyfriend's secret affair with her best friend, which broke her heart. She then confronted Claire about the same during a car ride. In her anger, Holly continued accelerating the car, ignoring Claire's apology and her plea to stop. Shortly after, they were hit by a truck, causing them to be severely wounded. When Holly learned that Claire was still alive, she grabbed a pointed glass shard and stabbed right into her eyes, resulting in her death. Here, it is revealed that Claire, whom we have seen throughout the movie, is just Holly's hallucination. In reality, she is talking to herself like a psycho, as opposed to whatever she was doing before, I guess. Since that traumatic incident, Holly has committed a series of gruesome murders and written about all of them in her journal. She tries to fool him, saying that she's a writer and the written content is based on fiction. However, Seth discloses that he's been stalking her for a long time and that he has witnessed several murders with his own eyes. He tries to convince her that he's here to save her from committing any more crimes because he loves her. Over the next several days, the two engage in psychological mind games against each other as Holly begins to slip details to draw Seth in. He believes that she committed the other murders out of guilt for not being caught over Claire, but the latter counters that she kills for pleasure. One day, Holly threatens to commit the unthinkable and frame him for her murder. She even bangs her head against the steel bars, resulting in her bleeding, but Seth remains unfazed. The same day, Nate catches Seth walking out of the restricted basement. Sensing something amiss, he slowly heads downstairs and is shocked to discover the imprisoned lady. Holly seizes the moment and urges Nate to quickly find a tool to break the lock. While comprehending the situation, Seth returns back with some food. In an unexpected turn of events, Holly signals Seth to kill the guard. She also distracts Nate, earning enough time for Seth to attack him from behind. At Holly's urging, he knocks him down and then smashes his head with a cinder block. Moments later, Seth gets overwhelmed with guilt and breaks down in tears, realizing that he has now become a murderer too. But Holly calms him down and guides him with the process of disposing of the body. Following her instruction, he mutilates the dead body into pieces and feeds it to the pets in the clinic. He also pulls out all of his teeth in order to prevent the police from recognizing Nate. Seth says, "From here on out, you call me the Tooth Fairy." In the aftermath of this event, the police officers, led by Detective Miara, take charge of the investigation, subjecting Seth to interrogation. While questioning him about Nate's disappearance, the detective becomes suspicious of Seth because the details he mentions do not match what they have found. In the ensuing days, Holly continues her ongoing manipulation of Seth's mind, saying that they are meant to be lovers because they both share a common pleasure of killing people. He tries not to fall for her mind games, but she keeps on making it hard for him. She continues to talk to him with love and even tries to seduce him just as a part of her manipulative strategy. At one point, she blackmails him to prove his love to her by cutting off one of his fingers. Seth adamantly refuses to do so and chooses to walk away. Right then, Holly declares that she is no more than a pet for him and asks him not to come back to her again. Seth then heads to the bathroom where he vents his frustration for not being able to figure out what to do. After contemplating for a while, he returns back to the basement and agrees to sacrifice his finger for his love. He then proceeds with the gruesome process, which causes him a lot of pain. Unsurprisingly, Holly takes full advantage of this opportunity. She grabs his knife and threatens to commit the unthinkable if he does not release her. With no other choice, he unlocks the door, finally letting her out. Following this, she pushes him against the wall and mentions that she now believes that he loves her. She also kisses him, but the situation takes an unexpected turn when Holly reveals her sinister form and slits his throat before before leaving. The scene then fast forwards to the future, depicting that Holly is back together with Eric. We also learn that her fictional events from her journal are being published by a vanity press. One morning, Eric receives a message from a random girl, which Holly happens to see. Despite realizing that he is cheating on her again, she opts not to hurt him. Later that day, she heads to an abandoned warehouse where it is revealed that she has imprisoned Seth in the same cage, still alive, but horribly mutilated and tortured. She thanks him for allowing her to take out all of her murderous impulses on him. She says that Seth indeed saved her, as he promised to do, through his sacrifice. The movie ends as the two hold hands, as Holly professes her love for him. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.